all right, you lovely people. Welcome to the fourth and final in my Visibility Masterclass series. And this is workshop number 4, the crossing, pulling it all together to attract your people. So it's good to be here with you. Um, we've still got some people joining us, so I'm just going to kind of ease into it again. I've got slides as usual because otherwise I'd forget where I'm going. I'll tell you a funny thing, actually. I don't even need slides if I'm teaching for 3 days. If I'm teaching for an hour, I need slides, or I go and tell you a story, and pretty soon we've used the whole hour up just for one story. So they kind of help keep me on track. So anyway, the usual objectives basically. I've heard more people than I can count say, I need to be more visible. So this is about that, and specifically how to approach the whole domain of visibility when people's attention is being inundated with everything from AI slop to, I've got my phone here, which is the primary culprit for this sort of thing. YouTube shorts that you flick through and that sort of thing, or TikTok, or all these things. So if you think about it, what we're in a global competition for is for attention. Now that's the theory. Like attention is a commodity, if you think about it. Something like YouTube Shorts, they've figured out how to commoditize video for attention, right? But here's the thing. The approach that I've been teaching this masterclass series is how to reach the people you're here to reach without having to compete with the attention commodity market. How? By going for the thing that can't be commoditized. The thing that cannot be commoditized is you, your authentic spirit, your signal. Jamie, are you able to activate the captions? I have no idea what that means, so unfortunately not. Um, feel free to tell me what that means and how I would activate them. Uh, does that mean that you'll see me interpreting what I'm saying?
Yes, please. It's subtitles. But
Yeah.
normally I can click on that in the taskbar below, but it's not there. But
Hmm.
don't worry too much if you can't. I should be
Check,
able
share
to.
docs, options, notes, share notes. It doesn't appear to be offering me the option to do that, unfortunately,
Okay,
Katie.
don't worry.
I'm gonna check one more thing. No, not there. Hey, maybe it's something the AI companion does. Let's check that real quick. Uh, I apologize, Katie. I'm
Don't
not being
worry.
offered captions. But if you pop me an email afterwards, I'll send you a transcript, okay? Because we got a transcript from Zoom. So, so anyway, my assertion is that the one thing that can't be commoditized is your unique signal, because that doesn't just come from your head and your memories and your ideas. It comes right from the heart of your being. It can't be copied. I mean, it can be copied, but not properly. It can't be fabricated. It's your signal. And so my assertion is that in this day and age, your unique signal is the most valuable thing you got. Now, the challenge with it is all of us in various ways got told early on that we shouldn't be like that, that we need to pipe down or we need to speak up or we need to not talk that way or not do it like that. And so it's why I find this quote from 50 Cent of all people so relevant to this. He said, the greatest fear people have is that of being themselves. That's the thing. That's the bottom line. The reason people don't share their unique signal is because they're afraid of actually being seen. They're afraid that that which they hold most preciously, most closely, their heart's deepest knowing that they're here to express, they're afraid of showing it because they don't want it to be scoffed at or rejected or whatever. And so there's a way in which the journey to making a difference to the people you're here to make a difference to is through going on the journey of being willing to share your message, being willing to let yourself be seen for who you really are. So that in a nutshell is what all this is about. What we're not doing is finding your niche, the top 10 things you need to do to whatever, or tips and tactics, because we're focusing on genuine transformation. So there are four master classes. This is the last one, the crossing. And the structure of this one is this bit, which is the introduction, a quick recap, which I've almost done, actually, most of it. Then the bit about me and my story, I'm going to use that as a demonstration of the visibility blueprint. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of examples of that. Then I'm going to get you to create your own. And so I'll give you the structure of that right from the get-go, and you can have it kind of rolling around in your head, and you might find something coming to the surface. I'm also going to talk about the what I call the essence of enrollment when it comes to enrolling clients. Just out of curiosity, how do you describe yourself in your work, like as a coach, or as a trainer, or as a therapist? Just type into the chat whatever your job description is, if you have a job description, and if you call yourself something like that. Okay, so Katie's life coach, Vanessa's a transformational coach, uh, Miriam's the young coach. Jan's a therapist. Johan's a private coach. Giles is a creator and writer. Leslie's an escape artist. Love these. Um, Giles, good to have you with us. I'd love to see your smiling face if it's available. As a writer and a creator, obviously that's not so important. Um, Andrew's a therapeutic practitioner. John's a coach and hypnotherapist. Marek's a transformational coach. Great. So we're all of the same tribe, the same gang. Um, we're gonna be so I'm gonna take you through that stuff. I'm gonna talk about enrollment in the sense of client enrollment, like how do you enroll people into what you're doing? Um, just out of curiosity, by a show of, well, just type into the chat love if you love enrolling clients. If you already love that, just type love into the chat. Miriam does, right on Miriam. Johan does, right on Johan. Lawrence does, right on Lawrence. Now that's interesting. Rick does, right on Rick. As usual, how many people are somewhat ambivalent about enrolling clients? Just by a show of hands. Okay, interesting. How many people find it and it gives them the colly wobbles and they don't like it? Okay, well that's good. Oh, one or two. Okay, so it, we'll talk about that a bit too, but that's important. Um, because if you want to do this professionally, that has to happen before people will pay you. Then I'll do a shameless plug for Clarity Pro and the Advanced Coaching Foundation's weekend that we're doing this weekend, 10 minutes max. You guys okay with me doing a shameless plug? It's going to be different from last time. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how you pull it all together. And what one of the things I'm going to show you guys is the simple. I hesitate to even call it a strategy. It's uh, more like a philosophy that I used right from when I started my first business and totally didn't know what I was doing, didn't know how to do any of it, and how I went from there to creating various successful businesses and products and books and that sort of thing. And they all use this basic philosophy. So I'll show you that when we get to the end. I think you'll like it. It's Giles speaking to you as a writer. It's actually inspired by a writer. So, what qualifies me to be your guide? Rather than walk you through all that stuff, I'm going to tell you a story. So, I'm going to tell you the story in your visibility blueprint. So there are three questions in this. And thanks, it's funny, Andrea, I didn't know I was going to use these questions in today's session, but Andrea on my team was teaching a visibility session with the people in the Clarity Coaches tribe. He showed me his slides and I said, I'm having that. Is that okay? He said, yeah, okay. Because this is spot on. This maps my own journey. So the first question is, who do you want to be visible to? Who do you want to be visible to? Now, that's not who's your niche or any of that stuff. It's like, who are the people or the kind of people you have something to share with? And then the next question is, what do you want them to experience with you? When they have an experience of you, what do you want that experience to be? And then finally, what will that result in for them? Like for what purpose? Okay. So so I'm going to take you through one of those. So that's me in the center with the weird green and purple tie back in 1999, 98. I was working as a project manager And that was a team photo for the last project I ever ran. I was doing lots of practicing because I was terrified of public speaking. So I was like, I got to get better at that and looking for opportunities to experiment. And I wanted to start a business. And I'll never forget it. I was on a course in London, a training course, not to do with starting businesses. It was like a skills course, like coaching skills. And I put my hand up for coaching at the front of the room. And so the trainer got me at the front of the room and he said, "So what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm trying to start a business." Uh, and he said, "Well, what do you want your business to be about?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, what do you love doing?" I said, "Well, I'm really enthusiastic about change and how people change and coaching and this sort of stuff." He goes, let me give you an example. I've got a luggage store. People come to that luggage store to buy luggage because they need luggage. What do you do that people could get from you? I was like, yeah, no, just what I said. I'm really enthusiastic about this stuff. That's all I had, right? So he's like, good luck with that. Anyway, I was like, well, who do I want to be visible to? My idea was there are other people. I'm enthusiastic about this. I'm learning about it and I figured some stuff out. There are going to be other people who are enthusiastic about it. So I'll start creating stuff for them. What I wanted them to experience was the things that I'd realized for myself that had made learning that stuff easier. So I wrote my first newsletter, January 2003. So whenever that was, 22 years ago. And I spent about 6 hours writing this 500-word article. And I sent it out to everyone in my email inbox. And I said, if you don't like it, just tell me and I won't send it to you again. And a bunch of people liked it. And I started growing a newsletter. Now, the result I wanted for them was for them to take this theoretical stuff they'd learned on courses and be able to put it into practice. And that's what happened. And I ended up building a very successful training company on that, doing training and products and that sort of thing, but by focusing on what I was enthusiastic about. You know, the word enthusiasm comes from the Greek words en theos, which translates as the God within. And I didn't know I was going to tell you this. I'll see if I've got the book handy. I've got a book by one of my favorite comedians. He's long dead, a guy called Bill Hicks. I don't think I have the book handy. No, I don't. Anyway, he said he was talking about his career as a comedian and his late career is late on in his career when he got into sobriety and life had got better. And he said a lawyer friend of mine told me that the word enthusiasm means entheos, which means the God within. He said, and his friend told him this, and he thought, oh, that means that the feeling of enthusiasm is God telling you you're going in the right direction. This is the right stuff to be doing. That's a sorting mechanism. He said, and I've been doing that ever since, and life has been beautiful. And so I really trust that. I trust your enthusiasm, what you're enthusiastic about. No one gets to a fourth visibility masterclass without being enthusiastic about something. So I trust that. I trust that. So that I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought, well, what do I know? I'm enthusiastic about this stuff. I can write an article about it. I can send it to people. I can do the same thing again next week, and we'll see what happens. But by taking action, you're interacting with reality and you're getting feedback from reality and you're putting your energy out into the world. Leslie says I look like one of the only happy ones on the team. I was pretty happy, to be fair. But in part, I was pretty happy because I was looking forward to my new career doing something else. I don't know if anyone else was doing that. So that's an example again of who do you want to be visible to? What do you want them to experience with you? Like when someone first makes contact with you, may you want them to have an experience of you in some way, to get a sense of what it's like to spend time with you, or to spend time with your ideas, or to spend time with your perspective. See, if someone's going to hire you, it's because they find your perspective interesting or enlightening or liberating. and they enjoy the experience of spending time with you. So you got to give them a chance to have that experience. Now, I don't care whether that's on TikTok or sitting down with them in a coffee shop. They've got to have an experience of you, though. So I'll give you another example. Was that example interesting? Yes, no, ish. Try and do better. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. So, well, here's the funny thing. Within a couple of years, I had a website and was offering programs and all that sort of stuff. And then a few years later, I had insights into the principles, and the whole game changed for me. So I was like, oh, these are principles for psychology, and I'm completely changing direction, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So my mission today, and as it has been for many years, is to awaken people and support them in awakening others. So my goal every time I go on a podcast or every time I write an article or every time I even do a class like this is for people to start waking up to who they really are, right? So it's a way of me sharing my signal whenever I can, which gets us where? Which gets us to, oh, okay, so here's another one. When we were launching Clarity Pro in 2019, I was working with my beloved Emma McDevitt, and I was thinking, well, who do I want to be visible to? What I wanted to be visible to was people who want to share the principles. I had met so many people who had been touched by these principles, for whom it had really made a difference in their lives. And I wanted them to be able to share it because here's what I heard. People would go, how come everyone doesn't know this? Right? They get a glimpse of the principles, then go, how come everyone doesn't know this? Then they go, I want to get this out there. At that time, I didn't ask them, where do you mean by out there? That's for another time. But they'd say, I want to get these out there. And then they'd find it was kind of difficult and they'd start worrying about the principles police or that sort of thing. Um, so I was like, yeah, that's who I want to be visible to. I want to be visible to people who are passionate about this understanding, who have seen the difference in their own lives and they want to share it with others. And I was like, well, what do I want them to experience with me? The ease of sharing this. I wanted to demystify how do you share the principles with anyone in any context, in any situation, not by having a set of say this or do this, but rather by pointing people relentlessly back to the source of wisdom and guidance and love and connection that resides within us all. Because I know that if you want people to be impactful when it comes to sharing the principles, they got to share what they've seen for themselves. Like I know with every single one of you, if I was to ask you, what are some of the things you've realized that are already making a difference in your life? That are having a profound impact in your life. You'll all have stories about that. I could tell some of your stories just looking at the screen. I could point to people and tell stories of profound impact that you've had. Well, that's the stuff that if you share that with other people, that'll have an impact. But what happens to a lot of folks is as soon as someone goes, so what are these three principles anyway? They get all uncomfortable and flustered and awkward, then they open their mouths. Well, that's not how you share the principles, right? So I created Clarity Pro to give people that. And what will that result in for them? Well, I'll tell you something. I I was when we were launching it, Emma McDevitt was talking to me and she said, "Well, what does this actually do?" And I want to read to you the things that I basically just wrote down what I've experienced since learning to share the principles. And so check this out for me. I'll take you on the journey. So here's the first one. You know with absolute confidence that what you're saying to people is the real deal. There's none of that sense of fake it to make it. When you're sharing something you can see 100% is true for yourself, you feel completely aligned and convinced and congruent. That's the thing. I was in a meeting the other day and I'm just talking about something, right? Not even this stuff. And someone comes up to me afterwards and they said, it's so peaceful listening to you. It's so peaceful listening to you. It's very comforting. I was like, cool. But that's what comes from sharing what you know in your heart to be true. People trust it. They trust it. People have, this is why your signal is such an advantage in an AI drenched world because people have bullshit detectors. They can tell when something's real and coming from your heart. They can feel it. Even if they can't give words to it, they can feel it. So that was the first one. Second one, as a result, you actually look forward to sharing this with people. You enjoy having connected conversations in all kinds of different contexts. My personal example, funnily enough, learning the principles was what took me from being kind of dreading enrollment conversations to loving them. I love them now. They're so fun. They're so enjoyable. And this will be obvious to you, but I'll say that never stops me. I'll tell you anyway. When you love having an enrollment conversation, your client picks up on that. So they feel good, right? Like if you feel uncomfortable in an enrollment conversation, your client picks up on that. That's not a buying signal. But if you're enjoying it and they're enjoying it, they relax, they feel good. You're giving them an experience of what it's like to spend time with you. So it's very, very simple, but very profound. What else? This was one of the big ones for me, and this hit me early. No matter what's going on for someone, if someone, a client or prospective client is sitting in front of me, I feel incredibly hopeful for them because I know they have that source of wisdom and realization and transformation within them. I know it. And because I know it, they pick up on that certainty. But that's not something you can pretend. You've got to realize it for yourself. So what else? I said to her, well, it makes you hopeful and optimistic because you know what they've got going for them, but also you continue developing your unique, authentic voice in sharing this understanding in a way that changes people's lives. And it creates a virtuous circle because like this is a virtuous circle for me. Like I love doing this stuff. And you guys probably pick up on my enjoyment of it. And it's like, oh, that seems like fun. Well, yeah, but it's the same for you if you're doing the stuff that you love doing and the way you love doing. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be all easy and fun from the first moment you do it, though it might be. I don't want to preclude that possibility. But you want to bring that feeling of hope, of possibility, of love, of connection, of joy, of fun, of enthusiasm into as much and specifically of your signal, like your flavor of that, because that's what's going to cut through. That's what's going to reach people. That's what's going to touch people. People will pick up on that. So, what else? Um, Oh, yeah. Just confidence and certainty. Like it's so cool. When I first came across the principles, I would go into situations and I'd think, oh, I need to know what to say and that sort of thing. But now, if someone's like, oh, well, how does it work in this situation? Or how do you explain this or whatever? I'm like, I don't know. Let's have a look and find out. Because the more you understand how these principles play out, the more freedom you have just to have a look. Like if you know that it's true, it creates a sense of confidence and certainty that, again, other people pick up on. Like this stuff works inside out. So people will pick up on your confidence, your certainty, your sense of comfort and connection. So all of these, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to tell you. Here's the other thing. Yeah, there's one of the I'm not even going to tell the story, but there's a quote you guys will know from Marianne Williamson that finishes with the line, as we let our own light shine, our presence automatically liberates others. And when I first read that quote, which was like I don't know, 27 years ago or something. It was like it lit a pilot light in me. And it fanned flames in something. I was like, oh, that. I want to be able to have conversations with people and for them to transform just in the course of an ordinary conversation. But here's the interesting thing. At that time, I didn't know anything about the principles, but something in me knew, right? Like how it looks to me anyway, is that line from Steve Jobs, above all, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Well, to me, that's about that truth and beauty within you, leading the way, knowing the way. As I see it, your intellect knows the past, but your heart knows the future. So anyway, the who do I want to be visible to? That was people who have been touched by these principles and want to share it with them. What do I want them to experience with me? Realizations into how it's possible to kind of the same like I did with NLP all those years ago. Here's how you do it. Here's how you get this understanding out there. And what will that result in for them? All the things I was reading you. And the reason, funnily enough, that we're so enthusiastic about Clarity Pro at this time is because it looks to me, there's a quote by D. Ward Hawk, you probably heard me say it, where he says, we're at that very point in time when an old age is dying and a new age is struggling to be born. And it looks to me like there's the possibility, how I fashion it is humanity is currently crossing a rope bridge between the old world and a new world, which could be amazing, could be really, really good. And then on one side of the rope bridge is catastrophe, like nuclear war or climate collapse or biohazard or AI horribleness or oh, that's probably enough on that side. And then on the other side is totalitarianism, because that's a dialectic. When you're going towards those things, people say, "Oh, we need more regulations," and then regulation swoops in, and there's like, "Oh no, there's too much authoritarianism. Let's go back that way." So we're crossing this rope bridge, and we're all doing it together, whether we realize it or not. But we've got these minds that have been conditioned for a linear world. But the world we're stepping into rapidly is an exponential world, thanks to AI and robotics. And the world is going to change more over the next 5 to 10 years than it has over the previous 50 years. It's going to be mind-boggling. And so it looks to me like the things we most desperately need as a species are well-being. As we go through these changes, people are going to get scared, people are going to get freaked out. They need to be connected to that source of peace and well-being and resilience that resides in everyone's heart. And the other thing we need is wisdom, whether it's us as individuals or the people leading technology companies or the people leading governments or other large enterprises. God knows they need wisdom because AI is like an intellect on steroids. And the intellect on steroids has already created the world we're living in today. And wisdom has been in scarce supply. So it looks to me and my team like the way we can share this most quickly and easily is through Clarity Pro and doing whatever we can by way of events and that sort of thing to support people in deepening this understanding. So that's why Clarity Pro is super relevant to us at the moment. So over to you. Here's what I'd like to hear from you guys and for you just to take a ponder on and then to type into the chat. Who do you want to be visible to? What do you want them to experience with you? And what's the result that'll give you? What's the result that'll bring to them? Those of you who are in Andrea's Clarity CC Tribe call just now, you've probably already done this, so you can use the answers you used in that one if you came up with them. But yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Does anyone know who they want to be visible to? Is anyone clear on that already? Because if you're not, then that's the place to start. Getting clear on, yeah, who do I want to be visible to? Who would I love to share this with? Who are the people who I feel are my people or who I chime with or I connect with? See, I'm wondering, and it may be that this is just something you need to spend a little more time on, but here's the thing I've seen. Most people have an idea of the who and the what and that sort of thing, but they're scared to share it. They're scared to go public with it. So Katie says people who feel they're not fulfilling their potential or are feeling unfulfilled. Brilliant. Marek says those who tend to act on their feelings and those who tend to overthink people. Yep. Leslie says people who can afford me, pardon me. That's a Freudian slip when you say one thing and you mean your mother. People who can afford me. Well, that's probably most of the 8 billion people on the planet, Leslie. Uh, uh, I would imagine there are lots of people who can afford you. It depends whether they're like, because if you think about it, what do you charge, Leslie?
150 an hour for a session.
Okay, so there are loads of people who can afford you. There are loads of people who can afford you. But here's the thing, and I know it's sort of a jokey comment, but this is important. If you sort who are my people by their wallets, they'll pick up on that. That's not a good vibe. I would recommend you looking for something that's closer to your heart than your wallet, Leslie, on this one. I know you're joking, but it's still a point worth making. Like it's just a practical thing. You want to work with people who can afford you, but the affordability piece will come as you find the people you're here to serve. Um, Mika says people suffering from overwhelm. Great. I think there are a lot of those people, Mika. Vanessa, PTSD sufferers, an experience of safety, clarity, peace, and hope. Beautiful. Transformation, symptoms falling away. Love it, Vanessa. Giles says people who feel as if there should be an easier way to life and have tried lots of other stuff without success. Great. Lawrence says visible to people who already have some understanding there's a potential that's greater than who they think they are. They already intuit the spiritual understanding or are already aligned with that. Love it, Lawrence. John says people low in confidence and or people held back by their limiting beliefs and stuck in learned helplessness. I want to empower people. Love it. Carter says people who are or should be in recovery. Interesting group of people. I won't comment on that. I have a bunch of thoughts on that as someone who's been in recovery for a very long time. I find most of the people who should be in recovery aren't in recovery. So anyway, this is great. So I encourage you to take those questions away and reflect on them. There, because if you think about it, this is kind of the next step. Like to, and I want to tell you guys a quick story, which is when I made the decision to send out that first article to probably 300 people in my email inbox back in January 2003, I was really scared and uncomfortable. It was the only thing that made sense to me to do was to write this and send it out. I knew like it was the next step for me to take, but I really didn't want to do it. I kept reworking the article and my finger was hovering over the send button before I hit send. And it was all this stuff that I hadn't really even thought of and maybe didn't even think about at the time. I was feeling frightened. And what it was fear of criticism, fear of being seen and found wanting, fear of people telling me to go and F myself and that sort of thing. And if you'd have asked me why I hadn't done anything to be more visible until then, you know what I would have told you? I would have said, "Oh, I just don't know what to do." Anyone said that? I just don't know what to do. In our society, it's a lot more acceptable to say, "Oh, I just don't know what to do," than to say, "I know what to do, but I'm scared to do it. I'm a big scaredy cat." Uh, but I find that 99 times out of 100, the issue isn't that the person doesn't know what to do, it's that they're scared to do it. And the thing is, if you know what the right thing to do is and you're not doing it, the quick move, the slow move is to go on 100 other courses to see if you can find the right way to do it. The quick move is just to do it, to be scared and do it anyway. So that was certainly the case for me. And I made the decision at that point. I went, you know what? I'm going to do this and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do it every week and see what happens. And over the next few years, I built up an email list of 90,000 people. Back in the days when open rates were like 60%, uh, I built a successful business, all that sort of stuff. I didn't know how to do it. All I did was take the next step. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. Rick says that's how he approached his book. Right on, Rick. So, we're not going to talk about that tonight. Not going to talk about that tonight. The essence of enrollment. The essence of enrollment. Let's talk about that. So, a quick heads up. This is what I call the trusted advisor matrix. Some of you all have seen this before. Basically, speaking to you as a coach, for someone to hire you as a coach, a therapist, a trainer, a consultant, a change worker, a retreat leader, a workshop leader, for someone to hire you for one of those roles, they need two things. Dear listeners, they need more than two things, but I'm simplifying it to a simple model to make it simple. For instance, they need oxygen, but we're not going to be covering that. They need two things. First of all, they need a relationship with you. They need to know you and like you and trust you. And for someone to hire you for a decent amount of money to spend a decent amount of time with you doing stuff that may require them to be vulnerable, they need to really like you and really trust you. Now, the other thing that they need to be present to some need or want or desire or problem that they need solving or aspiration they want to get or transformation they want to go through that's important to them. It's got to be important to them. Because why would someone pay money to spend time with someone and bare their soul to them if it wasn't important? So it's got to be important to them. So you got to get present to that. And the only time typically that someone will work with someone they don't like is if it's so important and they perceive that the person has the solution they need. But it needs to be even more important if that's the case. Um, Now, there are times when the need is so high that uh, someone will buy someone where there's low trust. So, for instance, crackheads. Crackheads have an incredibly high level of need, whereas crack dealers are known for having terrible customer care. They're not known for being good at that at all. But the need is so high, it's what's called a starving market. The people need it so badly that the suppliers don't have to treat their customers well. That's not the case in the coaching world. The coaching world tends to be an aspiration. When someone hires a coach, it's either because of some aspiration or because they've hit some threshold and they're like, you know what, I need to do something about this, right? And so my assertion to you is to be hired as a coach, you need to be high on both of those. You need to be high on knowing and liking and trusting, and need to be high on perceived need. They need to be very present to something that really matters to them. And so what I'm going to suggest is that the essence of enrollment is you need to enroll someone in a bigger vision for their lives, for themselves, and for what's possible for them. So what I find when I first speak to someone who's interested in coaching, for instance, they aren't even present to that bigger vision for themselves. It's through asking them questions, asking them why is that. So you've heard all the questions like, if I could wave a magic wand tonight, such that you wake up tomorrow morning and everything's the way you want it to be, how would you know the magic wand had worked? What would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel? What would you experience? What would you know that would let you know the magic wand had worked? And then I'll listen to them and I'll start making notes and I'll listen to some of the stuff they say. Or I'll say like something like this. I'll say, let's say you and me do something together. And a year from now, I bump into you and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, it's going amazing. Best ever. Unbelievable. I've just had the best year of my life. And I'm like, no kidding. What happened? And I listen to them. Tell me what happened that in that imaginary world, what happened that would have them describe it like that? Then I'll ask them, why is that important? What would that give you that you wouldn't otherwise have? Why do you want that? I'll find out all about it. So I'll spend time enrolling them in their vision of what's possible for them and what they care about. Finding out. But here's the thing. If you want to be able to enroll people in a bigger vision for their lives and what's possible for them, you need to enroll yourself in a bigger vision for your life and what's possible for you, right? Because it's like everything else. It's funny, I was coaching someone this evening, one of my corporate clients, and they're doing something very important for their business tomorrow, a certain kind of meeting. And I said, well, the other people in that situation, how do you want them to feel? And they told me. I said, well, if you want them to feel that by the end of the meeting, you know what you need to do? And they said, what? I said, you need to go there first yourself. If you want them to feel inspired, you need to feel inspired. If you're not inspired, you can't inspire someone else. If you want them to feel a sense of comfort and confidence and certainty, you need to radiate that. You need to bring that to the situation. If you want them to have a sense of hope and possibility, you need to feel that yourself. You need to be the first person who experiences that. And if you want your client or prospective client to awaken to the truth and beauty at the heart of their being, you need to wake up. You need to be there yourself. You need to be present to that essence within you. Because the way people awaken to that isn't through tips and techniques, it's through transmission, it's through resonance, it's like tuning forks, right? You resonate at that level, and then other people start to ping, they pick up on it. They pick up on it. So, I mean, I'm going to say something that's sort of tongue in cheek, but sort of not. This might be the most valuable thing I tell you tonight, so pay attention. There's a British author called Stuart Wilde and wrote spiritual books, kind of esoteric books. And he was once asked his business model, and he said, well, my business model is basically this. He said, you work on your feelings so you feel great. You just feel fantastic. And once you feel fantastic, other people will want to spend time around you. They'll really want to spend time with you because people like spending time around people who feel good. He said, and when they show up, invoice them. Now, it's tongue in cheek, but it's sort of true. Like there's a way in which that's been my business model for the last 15 years. Now, there's other stuff I do, I teach and that sort of thing. But the feeling behind it is fundamental. The feeling behind it is fundamental. It's not a optional extra. So, the essence of enrollment, if you want to enroll others in a bigger vision for their life, a bigger sense of what's possible, a bigger feeling of the truth and beauty that could be there for them, you need to do that for yourself first. So, which gets us where? Oh yeah, shameless plug. Sort of been doing it, so I'll go really quick. Um, so, real quick, I'm doing an event this weekend. It's going to be fucking amazing. Pardon my, it's not French, it's Anglo-Saxon. Pardon my Anglo-Saxon. It's going to be amazing. We're including a ticket to it for everyone who buys Clarity Pro. The doors on Clarity Pro are open till tomorrow night. I'm going to give you a quick run through of it. So when you sign up for Clarity Pro, you get access to a library basically of stuff. It starts with top left, what's called the insight path, which is basically a soup to nuts, how to share the principles. And there are modules on all kinds of different topics, everything from giving a talk on the principles to purpose, direction, and motivation, to persuasion and influence from a principles perspective, to relationships from a principles perspective, to health, to coaching therapy and change work, to happiness and well-being. And each of these modules, I'll show you what's in them. So that's the insight path that I mentioned. We won't go into that right now. If we take a module like giving a talk on the principles, each of the modules has 4 elements to it. It's got a foundation section. Here, I'm going to share screen with you. Hang on a second. I already was sharing screen. I'm going to do it differently this time. Hang on a second, just so I can show you things. I'm not supposed to ever do live demos, but I'm going to break the rules. So this is, yeah, you've got like all kinds of different modules in it. When you go into it, it's got four elements in it. So the first element is foundation. So it's me doing a video or a talk, either an audio or a video, anywhere from about 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on the topic. Uh, these were recorded when I had hair. Um, that comes with a transcript. Then there's what we call an impact kit. And the impact kit's really cool. So for instance, in the Impact Kit, there's a download that you can use just as a run through, giving a summary of that topic, uh, giving key points of how to do it, um, giving tips for impact like context and universals, do's and don'ts, like things, just classic mistakes to avoid and that sort of thing, stories and metaphors you can use, all that sort of stuff. As well, some of them have worksheets in them. So if you're designing a talk on the principles, it's got the kind of questions I use to design a session. Same for things like a workshop on the principles. But here's the other thing for this one. I just walked through them and just talked to you through how I make mind maps and that sort of thing for these kind of things.
Thematic
Now,
purposes like
in other ones, I'll have things like me in someone doing a coaching session as we design a workshop together. Then, as well as that, we've got. Oh, yeah. Then there's what's called an audience engagement pack, which might have an expert interviews. So there's interviews with people like Dickon, Jan and Chip, Reef Schufert, all kinds of people, depending on the topic subject area. So I think Rita did the one on happiness because she's one of the happiest people I know. Jan and Chip did the one on relationships and all that sort of thing. Then what else? What else? What else? Basically, the idea of this, yeah, I know what I wanted to show you. So the idea of this uh, is, oh man, I keep showing the wrong screen. Hang on a sec. I told you I shouldn't do demonstrations, but there we go. There we go. So similar thing, combating stress, worry, and anxiety from the inside out. Again, you've got foundations, so you can just listen to that and let it soak in, or you can go onto the impact kits. But the idea of this, because it's got, like I say, it's got all these different topics, but the idea is it's like a cross between being a member of a martial arts club or a gym and having a Swiss Army knife and having a Netflix subscription and having a reference library. So while you can use it as a course to go through if you've got 1,500 hours, how we recommend people use it is something to dip in when you need it. So it's funny, I was talking to Andrea on my team about it because he started, before we worked together, he was a Clarity Pro subscriber. And he and his business partner then had a membership program teaching about the principles. And they basically, each module of their membership program, they would go into Clarity Pro, use it as a guide for what to prepare, then go and deliver their module. So it's really a reference base that you can use because you get lifetime access. We want to support you in taking this out into the world in whatever way makes sense to you. So, which gets us where? Which gets us to oh yeah, let me give you the links. There you go. So details of the 2-day event are there. Details of Clarity Pro are there. Finishes tomorrow night. The offer is obviously 100% money back guarantee. It's 50% off. Uh, you'll whether you can join us live at the event or not, you'll get the recordings. Um, and if you resonate with it, we'd love to have you there with us. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. And either way, we're going to be prioritizing people who are Clarity Pro members for other things that we're doing in the future because we want to support you guys. So, what else? Oh, we're nearly at the end. So, yeah, pulling it all together to attract your people. So, this, like I said, this was me 27 years ago with a lot more hair than I have now. There's an old saying which goes something like the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So I told you I'd share with you the philosophy that I've been using for 20, I don't know, I guess about 25 years to 23 years anyway to grow my businesses. And it's inspired by a quote by E.L. Doctorow, the writer, who said, writing is like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. Well, the same goes for building a business, building a practice, creating a platform, building the basis for your signal. It's like driving at night in fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole journey that way. All you do is go, okay, what's the next step? And you just keep taking the next step and the next step and the next step. Because the way that your intuition works, all of us tend to like the idea of getting a guaranteed plan for things. Here's how it's going to work, and it's going to all work out, and it's going to go like this, and here's what you can expect in 1 month and 2 months and 3 months and 4 months and 5 months. But that isn't how it works. Oh, Martin asked a question. The Advanced Coaching Foundation event is streamed online on Zoom. Yeah, that's correct, Martin. It's online. Paul says, I've already signed up for Clarity Pro. Looking forward to this weekend. Right on, Paul. Me too. It's going to be great. So yeah, we like the idea that, yeah, well, I'll get a plan and I'll know exactly what's going to happen and I'll have certainty and there won't be any risk. But that's not the way that intuition guides us. It guides us one step at a time. And so that quote, when I heard it, uh, writing is like driving at night in fog with you can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole journey that way. That's how I've made the whole journey to now. And I'll give you an example. In 2008, I was on a retreat. I've always invested a lot in retreats and training and that sort of thing. I was on a retreat, and it was the third or fourth day of the retreat, and I wasn't getting a lot from it, but I was quite chilled out by this point. And on the fourth day, I had an insight. I didn't know it was an insight at that time. I just had this, oh, I got a vision of me sitting by the sea with a group of people, about a dozen people, teaching. And I was experiencing just the deepest sense of peace and well-being and security and connection and love. And it was incredible. And it was unlike anything I'd been experiencing at that time. I didn't know how to do it, but I was like, it was a vision. It was like, that, that's what I want to be doing. And so I started taking the next step. And that led me to the principles. And that led me to the work I do today. And the funny thing about it, I was running my first retreat in Sitges in 2010, Sitges in Spain. And I was there on the veranda of this hotel looking out over the ocean with this group of people. And I was like, holy shit, this is what I had the vision of 2.5 years ago, right? So that idea that your heart knows the future. It doesn't know the future in a way that the accountant of your intellect would like to have it, with a detailed itinerary and a step-by-step action plan, but it knows the future. It knows what life has in store for you. Well, there's that line I love from Steve Jobs. He said, above all, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Well, they know your intuition, your heart, the the truth and beauty that resides at the heart of your being. It knows. You're here for a reason. There are people in this world right now taking breaths as we speak, whose hearts are beating and who need exactly what you are here to share. And they need to hear from you, right? Like they're waiting to pick up on your signal. They're waiting for you to make them yourself visible to them. An old buddy of mine, he used to be a multimillionaire property developer, had a mansion and a fleet of sports cars and all that sort of stuff. And then he got wiped out overnight when the market crashed in the late 80s, got wiped out, went from yeah, being a multimillionaire to being completely broke, and was at his wit's end. But he ended up having some kind of spiritual awakening and ended up becoming a teacher and that sort of thing. And he said, if your purpose is big enough, if your reason for helping others is big enough, it can overcome any fear. It can overcome any fear. It doesn't mean the fear goes away. It means that what you're here to do is more important than whatever your ego is afraid of. And so whatever that is for you, I encourage you to suck it up and do it to whatever extent your nervous system can allow. Carter says from Los Angeles, can I join after lunch, 5:30 a.m. ish my time? Yeah, that's fine. Whatever suits Carter. Or do like some of the proper psychopaths in our tribe do and join us at 2 a.m. your time. Whatever works for you. I know it's not for everyone. I don't know if I could do it, but I'm always impressed. Like Lena's in Mexico, and she regularly joins us at silly o'clock Mexican time for things like that. Uh, Lena says you can join anytime. For my CCT experience, it's worth pondering getting up unpleasantly early, as the early part is often the foundation for the later conversations. That is true, by the way. We've got a couple of minutes. Has anyone got any questions? I think that's everything I wanted to share tonight, and maybe a little more of a lecture than I expected. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just to remind you, we are crossing this rope bridge. We're all doing this together, whether you like it or not, like it's happening. The world is going to change so radically. And funnily enough, actually, when we were going through the COVID debacle, one of the things I saw again and again and again from people in Clarity Pro was, I'm so glad I have this understanding. I'm so glad I have this understanding because it created a sense, sort of a center for that kind of resilience and peace of mind that people could keep coming back to. So anyway, yeah, any other questions? Going once, going twice, going three times. Disco. Andrew says, I love the fog analogy. Yeah, I love that. And I often try to overcomplicate it for myself and to think there must be a better way than just taking the next step. But it turns out it always boils down to just take the next step. Just take the next step. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you to all of you for being part of this series. It's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to spending the weekend with those of you who are joining us. And all the rest of you, I look forward to seeing you anon. And I wish you a wonderful evening and lots of love to you all. It's great to be here. Take care, guys. Bye bye.